Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and it's a special one because today we are painting Ushoran, the Mortarch of Delusion, the Summer King himself. Oh my goodness me, look at him, isn't he just gorgeous? And well, horrible, but we are painting him. I'm very excited to do this today. He's awesome, I love him, he's fantastic, and Games Workshop have sent him to me early to build up and paint for all of you, and that is exactly what we are doing, and I'm very excited. So we're going to waste no more time and we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting him. He has been primed in White Scar, just like the rest of our Flesh Eater Court stuff, and the colour we're going to be using first is Poxwalker. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be applying this over his hands and feet. Nice and simply. So I'm just going to start here on this hand. I'm going to apply this like this up to the bracelet. Just like that. I want to make sure we just turn it to the side and get the rest of the hand. Sadly, his base is simply too large. I believe it's 130mm. Simply too large for the painting handle, so we have to do things manually. So we've done it over one of the hands, and we will do it over the top of the other one as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to also do it over the feet. Now it's quite easy on this one because it is lapped over the cape. I'm going to take it up to around about there. And I'm going to apply it all over the toes. Just like this. And get over this toe as well. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up the leg, and there's no jewellery here to save us, so what we're going to do is we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then just there, we're just going to blend it up a little bit, just so that we don't get a hard transition line for when we come to do the next layer. And then we're just going to come right in between his arms and get the rest of it like that. And then we just need to come down here and get the back of his leg like that. Wash the brush one more time, touch off the water, and just get that little blend at this angle. Then we want to do the same thing on this hand and on this leg. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is take a roughly 2 parts Nighthaunt Gloom to 1 part Lamia Medium mix, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the rest of Ushoran's skin. Like this, and then once we get it all over, say like a limb, like that. Then what we're going to do is, for example, on this hand, just here, is we're going to bring this down over just the top of the hand, like that. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and then blend it into our Poxwalker. Like that. Same thing on the leg, for example, only this one you kind of want to start right up here under his bum. Don't end up creating any strange drying lines. I know that's not showing up on camera very well, but we're coming right under there. Bring it down. Into the leg, well, foot, down to around about that sort of knuckle bit there. I'm going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then once again just blend the two together so we get this lovely transition into the Poxwalker. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Gryph-Charger Grey and we're going to apply this over the top of all of that Nighthaunt Gloom. Just like that sort of thing. However, once again, once we get close to the legs, for example on this leg here, we're going to bring the paint down over that knuckle. We're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and just blend it together, like so. So with that done, the skin is very nearly there, but what we do need to do is to take some Drakenhof Nightshade, and we need to use this in the recesses of his muscles. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is work on the cape. So we're going to start on the outside. The colour we're going to be using first for this is Baal Red. Now this is going to seem to be really very bright, and it is, but don't worry. I'm going to be bringing it right down Now we just want to get this all over the outside. So with all that Baal Red applied, what we're now going to do is shade all of it using a roughly 4 parts Volupus Pink to 1 part Lahmian medium mix. This is just to improve the flow here. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over the top. Of the cape. Now it's going to be a little trickier. We've got that contrast effect going on, so you just want to take this a section at a time really, so as not to get any of those awkward drying lines. So I'm going to come down here, like that. And we just want to get this corner all done, and that is our first section of the cape done. So then we take it over to the next bit, just here. We start to apply this. Just continuing to watch out for any large pools that may start to coalesce. So with that done, whilst we're just waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over the top of the inside of the cape. I'm just going to start just down here. So with all of that Cygor Brown applied to the inside of the cape, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Druchii Violet. We're going to use this to recess shade the red. So we're going to start in here. Like so. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is going to take a roughly 3 parts contrast medium to 1 part Cygor Brown mix. And we're going to apply this over the top of the base, or the bottom, of the cape. Like this, coming up to around about there. And keep going. like that sort of thing. Then I'm going to wash the brush. We will do the rest of it in just a second, but what we're then going to do is touch off the water. And we're going to blend the two colours together. So we get this gorgeous fade down into that dark brown. Up to around about there. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and then give it the old blendy blend, like so. Then we just want to do the same thing again, but on the tabard. Like that. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and give it the blend. So with that all done, we can now move on until the next bit, which is going to be all of that hair and stuff around him. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some Agrax Earthshade. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the kind of, I guess they're kind of skins. It's probably skin, you know, fleshier coats and all that. So we're going to apply this over the top of all of it. Just like this. With all of that Agrax Earthshade applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Ratling Grime and we're going to apply this over the top of all of their hair. Now watch out for any skulls or any heads, anything like that, because the heads invariably have hair and beards. So this one just here has a beard. So with that Ratling Grime all applied all the way around, as you can see, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of his mohawk. I mean, it's not really a mohawk, but you get it. So with all of that Wyldwood applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown. We're going to apply this over the top of the, well, the fur of the Morbegs. So we're starting up here, so we're just going to apply this like this. We're going to bring it out to around about there like that. And then we're going to start bringing it down like so, until we get to these two heads, of course, at which point we're now going to finally paint them in. So with that Cygor Brown applied, what we then do is take a little bit of Black Templar. I'm going to apply this over some areas, mostly on this side here. So what we're going to do is just going to apply a little bit of it just there, and then along here as well. Like that. Apply some of this just in here and bring it down like so, and then do the inside as well. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the faces. With that all done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over the top of all of those skulls. In and around all of the hair. But what we can also do here now is we can pick out things like Ushoran's teeth. The bone spars protruding from his flesh. Don't worry if you get this over a little bit of the Nighthaunt Gloom, that's okay. It adds to the sort of griminess of them. Like that. We can also add it over the top of his crown. And with all that Skeleton Horde applied, we then want to take some Nuln Oil. We want to apply this over the top of a couple of the beards and hairdos. So we've got one here. We've got this all here as well. Like that. And we've got this one down here. Like that. However, what we're also going to do with the Nuln Oil is going to add this over the top of those skins that we did with Agrax Earthshade. This is just to add a little bit of extra kind of darkness, a little bit of extra grime. Like so. So with that all done, we've actually added some of that Nuln Oil to the hair as well on Ushoran as well. I forgot to point that out. So what we're going to do next is we're going to move on to the next colour, which is going to be some Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over the top of his talons, on his fingernails and his toenails. Just like this. However, what we're also going to apply this over that sort of thing. What we're also going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of the rope in here, and over the top of the ties on his jewellery. Such as that bit there, it comes across like so. With that all done, we're then going to take some Flesh Tearers Red. I'm going to apply this over the top of the gem. On his forehead. Although it looks like a cracked infinity stone to me. So with that all done, it is now time to add in some of those metallics. Now the first of these is going to be some thinned down Balthasar Gold. And we're going to be applying this over the top of his shoulders. Like so. And we're also going to apply this over the top of these kind of, I mean, they're almost like cloak clasps. With that Balthasar Gold applied, we've also applied it over the top of his earrings. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this next colour, which is going to be some thinned down Runelord Brass. I'm going to apply this over the top of this bangle, just here. Like so. We're going to apply this over the top of his staff as well. Now we're going to apply this over the top of the whole thing. But what we'll also do is apply this over the top of this bangle as well. And so with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to apply this over the top of all the remaining metallic details. And now you're thinking, according to the box art, there's a lot of gold, and there is, but we want a really grubby gold, so we're going to do something slightly different for that. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Nazdreg Yellow. I'm going to apply this over the bits that we want to be gold. So we're going to go for this bangle just here. This gives us a really kind of dirty gold, which is just perfect for what we want. Like so. Apply this over the top of the Stormcast helmet. Like that. I'm going to apply this over the top of his rings. Like that. And we also want to apply this over the top of the chalice. As well as all the silver. Around here. With that then done, we're going to take some Targor Rageshade and we're going to use this to shade the mace. And with that done, we're then going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to use this to shade the silver and the Balthasar Gold. So with that then done, we're going to take some Carroburg Crimson and we're going to apply this over the top of the handle of the mace, over the top of the Targor Rageshade. Like that. And then what we're also going to do here is we're going to use this to add a little bit of soreness to the skin. So around kind of the bone ruptures, we want to add some of the Carroburg Crimson. Like that sort of thing. And do the same thing around the head. like that. I'm just going to apply this over the top of his cheeks. Like that. And then we've got some more bony stuff going on around here. Like that. What we can also do with the Carroburg Crimson, if you want to, is you can use this to add a little bit of extra colouring into some of those heads. And with that done, we're then going to take some Volupus Pink. We're going to apply this to the inside of his mouth, over the top of his tongue. Like that. And a little bit of this to those jowls as well. And around those bony bits. So with all of those shades applied, Ushoran is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and I think he looks absolutely fantastic. However, we are not going to leave him there. Of course not. We're going to take him to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some highlights. So, the colour we're going to be using first is some thinned down Deepkin Flesh. And we're going to be using this to highlight all of Ushoran's skin. Now you want to be really careful here because it's quite a pale highlight. And what we're looking to do is basically catch the edges of all of his muscles and flesh. Just like this sort of thing. It can help to just thin it down just a little bit more, tiny little bit more than you would normally, so that the highlight doesn't come out quite as stark as a very pale green against the blue might traditionally do so. However, one thing to bear in mind is it will dry a little bit darker than it initially looks.
And now that we're at a Warhipster battle ready and we're highlighting with that Deepkin Flesh, it's a good time to tell you about our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Serious Readers. I've talked about them in the past, so you guys already know I really believe in their stuff. So when Serious Readers asked me to check out their high definition Gemini table light, you know I absolutely had to. It uses all the same great stuff as their floor light, especially their proprietary daylight wavelength technology to replicate the daylight spectrum as closely as technically possible, which makes a big difference on your eyes. The biggest feature here though is that it's not one, but 2 light engines on separate flexible arms, giving you optimal coverage of your painting space, a light source to share with someone else, or a perfect setup for taking photos of your miniatures. They're built right here in the UK, as Serious Readers is a British company pioneering research into improving sight through shedding better light, relying on replicating the natural daylight spectrum that our eyes have evolved to use. They offer a 5-year warranty and are recommended by over 500 independent opticians. They're also super cool folks with excellent customer service, so much so that when I asked for a colder bulb, they sent me one, or in this case 2, along with 2 diffusers to make my life even better. Check out Serious Readers today, and if you pick one up and use offer code SR490, you can get £100 off high definition lights and free delivery. Find out more in the links below.
So with that done, believe it or not, the skin's pretty much there. It looks absolutely fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to now take some Flash Gitz Yellow. I'm going to apply this over the top of his eyes. So with those eyes now painted in, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to highlight his horns and those bone spars on his elbow. And the teeth. Don't forget the teeth. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to highlight his fingernails and claws. So with that done, it's now time to move on to the back. And this might look complicated, but it's actually going to be done very simply. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Karak stone and a small dry brush. And we are going to dry brush this over the top of all of these details, excluding the darkest hair. I'm going to do that slightly differently. But for now, you want to dry brush this over this hair up here, for example. Not this bit or this bit, but the rest of it we can dry brush, including the faces and the skulls. So with that Karak stone dry brush applied, what we then do is we take some Blood Reaver Flesh and we dry brush this over the top of that darker fur. And so with that Blood Reaver Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Night Quester Flesh. I'm going to very gently dry brush this over the top. Of these Morbeg corpses. Like that. And we're also going to apply a little bit of this hawk. Create a little bit of variation. So with that done, all of that fur is pretty much finished. We can come back in just a little bit, but before we do that, what we're going to do is move on to the cloak. And the colour we're going to be using next is some thinned down Wazdaka Red. And we're going to be doing really wide highlights here over the top of the redder parts of the cloak. So you want to keep some of that base coat still in there, but over the top of the wider folds. I've got a stray hair in here. I think we got it. There we go. So we're going to be using the Wazdaka Red, as mentioned. So with that Wazdaka Red applied all over, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down pink horror. And we're going to use this to add basically a little spot highlight on all those folds. That pink horror applied, what we're then going to do is take some thinned down Blood Reaver Flesh once again, and we're going to use this to highlight the inside of the cloak, where we did all that Cygor Brown before. So with that done, it is now time to work on all those metallics, and we're going to start with these shoulders. Now the colour we're going to be using first is Brass Scorpion, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our little homemade stippling brush. Now this is a medium shade brush which I've snipped off right at the tip, as you can see, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the bit of that Brass Scorpion on our brush, and we're going to work it into the bristles here on tissue paper, and then we're going to stipple and buff on just a bit of that Brass Scorpion, like that, just to give it that kind of dull shine. Like that. And do the same thing over here as well, although this one's a little bit more tricky to get to. With that Brass Scorpion done, we're then going to do a very similar thing using some Runelord Brass. So I've actually just picked up loads there. That's okay. I'm going to get it down till it starts to look like that. And then we're going to actually stipple this by just pressing this into the brass. And then once that's done, we're going to take a little bit of Aggaros Dunes, not very much here. I'm going to wash this off our thumb, and then we're going to apply this over the top of our armor panel, like that. Then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water. I'm going to get in there, basically buff most of it off. Like that. Once again, grab just a little bit of Aggaros Dunes. Apply it over the panel. Wash the brush. And then buff most of it off. Like that. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take a small amount of Sycorax bronze. I'm going to use this to now highlight these little cloak clasps, and we're also going to use this to highlight those shoulders, and we're also going to use this to highlight the staff or mace, whatever the hell it is. But when it gets to the top here, I'm going to apply this as more of a relayer because I want the mace head to be really bright. With all that Sycorax bronze applied, we're then going to take some Canoptek alloy. I'm going to use this to highlight the mace. So that done, the mace is now finished, as is all the other bits of brass. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some Liberator Gold and use this to highlight our grimy gold. So with that Liberator Gold now applied, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Iron Breaker and we're going to use this to highlight the silver. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Blood Angels Red. I'm going to apply this over the gems. So we've got one just in here. Like that. We've got another one just there. We have the ring. Just there, and we've got these little gems. And with that Blood Angels Red applied, we then want to take a tiny little bit of Slaanesh Grey. We want to use this to highlight all the gems. With those gems now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Blood for the Blood God. And we are going to apply this around the rim of the cup. Like so. And then what we're going to do We're going to apply this over some of those heads. Also apply it along the hooks. So with that done, Ushoran himself is now finished, and I think he looks absolutely fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on his rather lovely base, and the colour we're going to be using first is some Targor Rageshade, and we're going to be applying this over top of all of that stonework. All that Targor Rageshade applied, we're then going to take some Cygor Brown. We're going to apply this over the top of all of the loose soil. With all that Cygor Brown applied, we're then going to take some Stirland Mud and we're going to apply this over the top of all of that negative empty space around the base. With all of that Stirland Mud applied, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the bones. Of which there are many, many bones. With that done, we've got a little bit of Guilliman Flesh to apply, just here. Like that. And with that done, we then want to take a little bit of Iron Warriors, apply this over the hook, just there like that, and over this helmet. And then we're going to take some Black Templar. I'm going to apply this over the top of the candles. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade. We're going to apply this over the top of, well, most of these details. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by applying this over the top of all of the stone, because we want to just bring that colour down a little bit more. Like so. And when I say most of those details, what I actually mean is just the stone and the metallics. As you can see, we get this lovely kind of reddy brown, but also quite dirty stone, which is perfect. So once that's all fully dry, what we're then going to do is to take some Tyrant Skull. And we're going to dry brush this over the top of the entire base.
So with his base now complete, Ushoran the Mortarch of Delusion is now finished, and I think he is the early contender for Model of the Year. I know it's only January, but my goodness me, just look at him. He's so freaking awesome, and I love it. Wow. A fitting leader for the Flesh Eater Courts. My favourite range of them all so far, I think. I absolutely love them. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.